What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, What's Up G, back with another banger, and I am the best reporting on hip hop and entertainment. It looks like we got an update in this Cassie and Diddy trial with the Diddy freak offs, and we hearing all this stuff that Diddy been doing. And honestly, he one of the freakiest boys I ever heard of in history. He doing stuff that I never even seen on them tapes when I was like 16. You know them tapes, them little DVDs you find. They be doing the freakiest stuff in the world. I never ever seen or heard anything like the stuff I've been hearing from Diddy. But it looked like a few things are going right for him in the trial. Here go a Diddy update. Let's get it, y'all. Cause this trial's been like insane.
It was a really bad day today in court for Cassie. It was disastrous. It was disastrous for the prosecution and their entire case against Diddy. In court, it was pretty evident, bro. The prosecution is in over their head. You could tell there is a clear gap in skill between the prosecution and Diddy team of attorneys being spearheaded by Brian Steele. A lot of y'all was introduced to Brian Steele when y'all seen his brilliant defense of Young Thug. Young Thug was 100% guilty of a lot of those charges, but Brian Steele was so brilliant. He was so outclassing the prosecution that he was able to get a mistrial, and he was able to get the prosecution to buckle to their knees and give Young Thug a plea deal that allowed Young Thug to get out and face 0 jail time but a suspended sentence. And now he's working his magic for Diddy. Like, do you see how Diddy is hugging this good white man? Diddy knows his savior has arisen, and this is his only hope of beating this case. And so far, Brian Steele is putting on an absolute execution and display of brilliance, bro. Whatever Diddy is paying this man, 5-10 million, is well-deserved money. Brian Steele is outsmarting the prosecution every way possible.
I ain't gonna hold you. Brian Still, he a dope attorney. You gotta remember, he got arrested during the Young Thug trial for standing on business, and still, in my opinion, he won the trial. So yeah, Brian Still one of them ones.
He already had his team of attorneys. He hired Brian Steele midway through the process. And when Brian Steele came on board, you could tell from the very beginning, Brian Steele was thinking 20 steps ahead and trying to outsmart everyone. Because the first thing we started to hear when Brian Steele came on board was, yo, Diddy is looking for more women on his defense team. You know why? Because Brian Steele walked in and Brian Steele asked the team of attorneys, which one of y'all are going to be cross-examining Cassie? And the attorney was like, yo, us. We're great at cross-examination. We're going to get her in all her inconsistency lies. And Brian Steele says, yo, is you stupid? Like, are you dumb? You're going to have a bunch of Caucasian white men cross-examining Cassie and being really aggressive with her on the stand for an essay and a trafficking case? Are you stupid? Cut the sausage party, bro. Where the women at, bro? So then Brian Steele began to orchestrate to bring in more women. Brian Steele specifically brought in 3 women who were all victims of SA. And they were going to be the women that were going to be cross-examining Cassie or quote-unquote checking her. Just that small detail that Brian Steele was able to catch that nobody else was able to catch shows why Brian Steele gets paid the big bucks. And today, that decision paid off, bro. That decision essentially just saved Diddy. Yo, Diddy and Brian Steele and his attorneys, they were fearful of Cassie's testimony. That was going to be the one thing they felt, yo, we can't really beat this. Yo, they was up at night thinking about Cassie testifying. So far, they've been able to manage this pretty well. Because you know what happened? Brian Steele's decision of including a SA victim who is an attorney to cross-examine Cassie, that paid off magically, bro. Because that person was able to get a lot of information out of Cassie that ain't make her look good, bro. And it made Diddy look like, dare I say it, an innocent man, to be honest, bro. Now, I'm not saying he innocent. I'm saying it made him look innocent. Even though Cassie was being cross-examined by Diddy attorney, Cassie was sharing a laugh with the attorney during the cross-examination. It didn't feel like a cross-examination. She wasn't pressuring Cassie to answer the yes or no questions. She was sort of like bypassing it. And just Cassie showing that level of comfortability came across great to the jurors, and it looked really great for Diddy attorneys. However, it was still a cross-examination, and they still got some really great info out of Cassie and got her to admit to a lot that looked really favorable on Diddy's behalf.
Lunchtime update, Cassie on the stand, her first day of cross-examination, and I don't want to say it's super intense because Diddy's lawyer, Anna Estevea, she's doing an amazing job at being very gentle. I mean, Cassie and her have exchanged a few laughs while she was on the stand, which I thought was pretty incredible. And additionally, there's a lot of explicit graphic text that we're seeing from Cassie to Diddy and vice versa. And Estevea is saying, look, if you don't want to read these, you don't have to, which I thought was really nice. Also, when Cassie answers and it's kind of a yes or no question, Estevea isn't like, it's yes or no. She's being very, very calm and very kind. Now, what we saw, like right off the bat here, was a conversation via BlackBerry between Diddy and Cassie about 2.5 years into their relationship. And remember, at this point, Cassie testified during direct that he had abused her. She didn't want to do freak offs, you know, all this stuff.
And that right there is the basis of the prosecution's entire case against Diddy. Cassie was the first one who accused Diddy of trafficking. That was included in her lawsuit. And the only reason why she included that was because of I think, like the Mann Act, right? That extends like the window for where a victim of trafficking can sue. So Cassie included that. But when Cassie is testifying, I didn't want to do this. You know, I was doing it against my will. He was making me do this. And then the gigolos or the male escorts are testifying, oh no, she instructed me to take a piss on her. Oh no, she's the one who handed me the money. And then you see text messages where she's requesting to do the free calls. And people are like, hold on, bro. You're requesting to do these things because you want to keep Diddy to yourself. So if you're requesting these things in messages, in emails, it's...
Yeah, because she actually came out and said she didn't want Diddy to do freak offs with other girls. But you also got to remember that Cassie was about 20 years old and very impressionable. Do I think she wanted to do some of the freak offs? Yes. But do I think a lot of this stuff went too far and it got out of control? Clearly. All right, so y'all drop it in the comments. Let me know what y'all think about that. Her saying that she actually wanted to do some of the freak offs. She said that.
Kind of hard to now paint the narrative. Again, I'm not saying Diddy didn't force her to do these things. I'm saying how it comes across at trial. If we're trying to use our reasoning, our comprehension to figure out who's winning this case and who's not, it looks away when there's emails and messages of you asking for the free calls.
And she actually said that he said, you know, I miss you already. When do you want to FO? That was Diddy. And she said, I'm always ready to FO. And again, this was August of 2009, about 2 years into their relationship. They talk about when it would be best for them. And then they talk about getting an escort involved. And then we see a text message that says, I can't wait to stare at your BBD. You guys know what I'm talking about. And again, lawyer did not make her say it out loud. There's a lot of explicit text messages.
That's crazy.
And look, I think some of the takeaways here at what the defense is doing and what they are eliciting out of Cassie is, again, the email saying she loves him after these FOs. And don't get mad at me. Don't tell me, you know, I understand how trauma works, but I'm just relaying all this to you guys. So Cassie testified that she had to do freak offs during her period. And we were shown an email where Diddy, for FO planning purposes, asks her when she's getting her period. And she says she's skipping it that month. Additionally, she testified that she didn't want to be a swinger because she didn't want to see him with another woman. Well, we see an exchange where she says she has a fantasy about seeing him with another woman.
Brian still did a very great job at making the security guard, the second person who testified, at making him look discreditable. He hopped off that stand and people was looking at him like, man, bro, like this witness was a waste of time. Because there's no way a jury is going to buy anything he just said. Because Brian still got him to admit that he copied the footage to show it to his wife. He was cloud chasing. He lied about a couple of things, lied on the report. Brian still discredited him completely. Cassie is the star witness. This is her story. Her story is why Diddy is currently being indicted and charged. So when you catch Cassie in a couple of white lies, like, hey, yo, he made me do this when I was leaking. But then Diddy is asking, hey, yo, when is your period so we don't film? It's kind of looking crazy. When you're texting him, yo, I want to F right now. Yo, I really miss the free calls. It looks a certain way. When you're texting him, oh, I love you, thank you. It looks a certain way. Now, there's like that message, which to me is like the smoking gun, where Cassie expressed, now Cassie is, I didn't want to do it, he made me do it. No. Cassie would express she loved doing the free calls in the messages, but the smoking gun is her reasoning for why she wanted to slow down on the free calls. And it had nothing to do with her feeling degraded, her feeling disgusted, her feeling, no, she didn't want to do it. Well, you're going to have to watch the rest of the video to hear it.
And I'm paraphrasing here. She also says at one point that, quote, she'd travel anywhere to be with him. And this is while they are discussing an FO in this one message, this BlackBerry message. Another big thing here is the drug talk and the opioid talk. So Cassie testified that Diddy told her he was addicted to opioids. And the defense is basically saying, well, did you see him try to get off these opioids or come down from them? And she said, yeah. And then they said, well, you know, that makes one volatile, angry. And again, I'm paraphrasing, but basically what they were alluding to is that Diddy's violent behavior and aggressive behavior and all of his mood swings that she talked about were because he was coming down from opioids. Let me make sure. I feel like I have so many notes from today. Yeah, again, a lot of graphic messages, mainly about Cassie saying how much she liked it after it happened. It was so good, and she's talking about FOs. Oh, something really big that they're trying to prove here. Cassie felt like she didn't have the words to relate to Diddy because she was so young that she didn't want to do this and yada yada, referring to the FOs. Well, we've seen a lot of messages from Cassie to Diddy that are paragraphs, let's say, explaining certain things to him, really seeming to wear her heart on her sleeve. At one point she said, look, I'm unsure about the FOs because I feel like, before when we were doing them, and this is a few years into their relationship, she said, before we were doing them, I could spend time with you after. Now we're doing them and you're leaving right away.
These messages are showing Cassie enjoyed the FOs. She enjoyed it. It wasn't a thing that she was dreading or a thing that she was looking at as, oh my God. No, she enjoyed it. Her only gripe against it when it got to a point was she wanted more time with Diddy. She wanted Diddy to do the FOs and then stay there, cuddle, and treat her like an actual girlfriend. After a while of doing the FOs, he began to treat her like a girl just for the FOs. He will only link up with her to do the FOs. And she would express that. Yo, I have no problems doing the FOs. I just have a problem when you treat me like...
Yeah, because not only that came out in court. See, and it ain't... You got to be sensitive with these situations. But her whole thing is going to be, I didn't want to do this. But the defense is going to point to all these text messages saying, well, you hit him up saying you wanted to do it. You can't wait. You then went on to say, well, I kept doing the FOs because I didn't want him to do it with somebody else. You were the one contacting the escorts and all that stuff. So that part was a little tricky for Cassie because the prosecution wants to paint Cassie as a victim, and the defense is kind of painting her as the picture as more of you were the one helping with the FOs and you enjoyed the FOs. So y'all drop it in the comments. Let me know what y'all think about this. Cassie, Diddy, we gonna stay up to date with this. I'm gonna drop some more bangers tomorrow. Let me know what y'all think about this so far. Where does it stand for Cassie? Does she still look like a victim in this situation the way that they're painting her through the defense's argument? Or does it look like Diddy is going to jail for a fact? Me personally, I think Diddy's going to jail. I don't know if the prosecution is doing a good job at proving everything that they could have proved, but I think some of them charges are going to stick. All right, so it's your boy, What's Up, G. Don't forget to drop a like on this. I'm going to need y'all to disrespect that like button. If ain't nobody told you they love y'all, I love y'all. I'm out, y'all.